Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Welcome back, Packers fans. We finally made it. It feels like football's really in the air. We're getting preseason games on the market here in a couple days. We are doing our first Packers episode of the season. We're going to have Tuesdays from now through February. I'm calling it. Now through February. I'm calling it right now. It is August 11th. Oh, what is August 11th? Oh, it is the Packers' birthday. Happy birthday to the greatest franchise in sports. 107 years young today. 13 championships, going for 14 this year. 5 Super Bowls. They won the first 2. They're going for number 6 this year. Oh, they have 4. Oh, sorry. Wait. Am I talking 5? Because I think they're winning this year. I have a feeling, man. I really do. Also, today's a great day because I don't have to go to work tomorrow. So today is just a beautiful, beautiful day. We're going to do this podcast. We're going to talk about my favorite thing to talk about outside of my beautiful daughter, and that's the Green Bay Packers. So I am super, super excited. We are going to talk additions, departures, position battles we are going to be watching in the preseason, and we're going to talk about changes under the new defensive coordinator, Jonathon Gannon. A lot of things that are going to be changing under him, but mainly the thing that I took away first before we get into it is the energy. Man, I don't know if you've noticed that as well, but the energy just seems different with the defense.
Yeah, let's just start with Gannon. So we talked about it when he first got hired. Like, we brought up the numbers. Like, I know that I brought up the numbers from, like, this is what he did when Philly, when he was the DC. This is, like, what he was looking to implement. Like, this is how he sets, expectations and stuff. Mm-hmm. We did all that in the spring when Gannon was hired. I want to focus today more on, like Jake's talking about, where he's talking about the energy being different and how Jonathon Gannon is going to affect specifically the Green Bay Packers, and less about what he did in Philly and Arizona. So, Jake, you're looking at Jonathon Gannon. What are you looking at the Packers specifically as far as Jonathon Gannon coming in?
All right, I got 5 things. I got 5 things that I took away that I'm like, okay, I can comfortably break this down with the Packers specifically with Jonathon Gannon coming in. And the first thing that I noticed, and this is obviously something that he's brought with him, but he's going to bring to the Packers, and it's relevant because a couple of years ago, the Packers were really bad at safety. And they were just like, yeah, we're going to go sign that guy. We're going to draft this one. You're good. You're an all-pro. Multiple safety looks. It's something that we've been hearing about all camp. All 3 safeties on the field at one time. You're talking Xavier McKinney. You're talking Evan Williams. You're talking Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard was obviously on the field a lot last year with those 2 as well, but he was playing nickelback. So this is going to be a different kind of thing. They're rotating him in the box, out of the box. They're playing middle spy. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I'm hearing, and I'm like, whoa. If they do this thing correctly, and you're talking about 3 high IQ players, Xavier McKinney might be one of the smartest defensive players in the league. He's obviously not one of the fastest players, but being able to know where to go makes him one of the fastest players in the league. So his understanding of formations and offenses at this point, obviously being from Alabama under the tutelage of Nick Saban, who's one of the best to ever do it, no matter how you feel about Alabama, Nick Saban knows how to coach defensive players, especially DBs. So Xavier McKinney coming from a long lineage of successful players at Alabama. Evan Williams, that guy's just a dog. I went to camp a couple weeks ago with my daughter. I ended up saying hi to Evan Williams face-to-face as he was signing autographs, and I said, hey, all-pro year on the docket, my boy? He said, abso-freaking-lutely, because there was a bunch of kids around. He didn't want to cuss, which I appreciate. Love his energy, by the way. I've never had an issue with Evan Williams. He just seems like a really, really nice guy. That has nothing to do with Jonathon Gannon coming to Green Bay, but I just really like Evan Williams. And Javon Bullard, everybody knows my feelings about him. Javon Bullard is absolutely a dog, and he is the reason that Marvin Harrison Jr. is broken, because he broke him in college, and ever since that moment, he has been bad. So it is Javon Bullard's fault. The second thing I took away is more versatility from Edgerrin Cooper. I've heard a lot of things about Edgerrin Cooper being lined up as an edge rusher. So that's a way to take advantage of his athletic abilities, the way that he can run. And then also from that position, you can drop him out and make him cover a tight end, make him cover a running back, put him in zone coverage. You can, from that look with the three safeties, you could blitz a safety from the opposite side when you have Edgerrin Cooper and Micah Parsons when he comes back. And that goes into my next one, and that's more creative pressure packages. It's not just going to be, all right, you guys, you're going to rush. Maybe we'll run a little stunt right here. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do that. No, it's going to be a little bit more creative, in my opinion. We're going to, and I've been asking for this, and you know this for a fact. I've been asking for overloading a side.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
like you probably like referred to it being done in Baltimore like 1,000 times.
Yes. And there's a reason that Baltimore was good at defense forever, because they were always innovative and finding different ways. And one thing that Gannon's also going to bring with the creative pressures is he's going to bring the double mug look, which the Packers have two middle linebackers now that I think are going to be really, really good at it. And Zaire Franklin is a thumper in the middle. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to talk more about the additions soon here. Number 4 is a different approach to stopping the run. So in the past with Hafley, it was shooting a gap. Like, okay, you're going to shoot the A gap, you're going to shoot the B gap, you're going to shoot the C gap, you have outside contain. It was just, okay, gap responsibility here, gap responsibility there. Now, with Jonathon Gannon, he relies more on his D tackles to hold firm and be able to play 1.5 gaps. So you're kind of sitting there, and you're controlling that offensive lineman, and you're allowing the linebackers to flow and make plays. Another way to take advantage of Edgerrin Cooper's speed to be able to close things down. Evan Williams is a great tackler. Xavier McKinney's a great tackler. Javon Bullard's a great tackler. We know what Zaire Franklin's doing. The Packers have been trying to get this guy for a couple of years for a reason, I will say. Yep. And, you know, another guy that's going to be really good with that style of run defense is Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah.
I think Lucas Van Ness is going to absolutely eat with that style of defense, being able to stop the run, because he is strong. He does try to bull rush. He is able to control people on the outside, especially tight ends and tackles. So that'll be interesting. I'm really interested to see how Michael Parsons fits in, just because I think that he's underrated with his IQ. And I know he talked about it recently as well, but I agree. I think that his IQ gets underrated because of how athletic he is.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I took away is more week-to-week game planning. I personally, now I liked Hafley. I'm not trying to dog on him at all, but I felt like Hafley tried to make his game plan, and then he tried to fit the offense into his game plan and dictate the game just with the way that he saw it happening. I think Gannon's more of like, okay, this team's a little bit more run heavy. They like to throw it short on you know, second downs or third downs, and he's going to adjust based on how the offense plays and use his playmakers in a way to combat that. Opposite of how Hafley was like, okay, well, we're a very heavy zone run scheme. We're a gap responsibility on the D-line, and we're just going to have to figure it out from there. I don't like that. I don't think you take advantage of all these first-round picks that the Packers have used. I don't want to say wasted. They've used high draft picks on defensive players. You want to be able to put them in the best position to succeed, which is why a reason a guy like Hargrave succeeded so well under Gannon when he was in Philadelphia, because he put him in a position of power according to how he plays. So I think Gannon's going to be a great fit. I don't know if he's going to be here very long, especially if he has a really, really good year the first year and there's a good job opened up for a head coach on Black Monday, but we'll see.
So I like that you said that you're not trying to dog Hafley or anything like that, because I do think he provided a stability that was very beneficial to the Packers, and I think that stability is ultimately what got him the Dolphins head coaching job. And I do think when you're talking about Hafley came here, he's like, this is my defense. This is it. This is what we got. I do think that's what led to us at times last year, and injuries are obviously a factor. At times feeling like we didn't make good second half adjustments. And I don't think that, unfortunately, the two games that the Packers lost to the Bears, there were some questionable lack of defensive adjustments. And I think that's part of what led to those two losses later in the season. But I do think, like you're saying, that Gannon being more a specified game planner is very interesting. And the three safety look is absolutely part of it. Micah Parsons is obviously going to be a part of it. And talking about Micah Parsons, Jonathon Gannon was asked about him, and Gannon said, quote, he could see himself in a bunch of different spots. So the safeties aren't the only guys that are going to be moving around all the place. Micah Parsons isn't going to be the only person moving around all over the place. Adrian Cooper is not going to be the only person moving around all over the place. Lucas Van Ness is moving around all over the place from the inside to the outside. So I'm very interested to see how much Gannon is going to be rotating players defensively and honestly how that affects the roster, because that's what we're going to be talking about next week. I think the Packers are going to have significantly more players on the defensive side of the ball ready to sub in than there will be on the offensive side. So that'll be a very interesting thing to discuss next week when we talk about roster predictions and depth charts.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to and reading about Gannon from the players that are going to be on his defense, starting with Brandon Cisse on day one of training camp. Cisse said he's a DB guy, so he's super smart, instinctive, and understands where to put guys. I think he's going to be really good in my development, becoming a better player. Anytime I need to get cursed out or need a chewing, I kind of like that pressure on me. It allows me to grow, and it's all love. I'm glad that he chose me to come here. So Packers brought in Jonathon Gannon, and we're like, hey, how do we fix the cornerback room? And it feels like Jonathon Gannon kind of handpicked Brandon Cisse. It helps that he was the best available corner at the time that the Packers were picking, but he was one of the best corners in the draft, and the Packers being in the position of not having a first-round pick, they still got a guy who was could have easily gone in the 30 to 50 range when the Packers were picking at 52. So very excited to see how Brandon Cisse goes, and we're going to be talking a lot about him in the near future, I guarantee you. Mm-hmm. Week one of training camp already, Gannon was rolling with those three safety looks like Jake's talking about, and I think it might even end up being a bigger blessing like Jake's talking about, the signing of Xavier McKinney, the drafting of Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, and Kaitan Oladipo was also in that draft.
Very true.
So when asked about the biggest difference between Hafley and Gannon, Xavier McKinney said, we got this three safety look going on. We are all able to move around and do different things. I'd say that's the biggest thing as of right now. I'm gonna finish my last thought before I say the thing that I'm really excited to say about Jonathon Gannon and his defense. There was also an Athletic article from last week that said he thinks that Jonathon Gannon is going to have two different plans on defense, a pre-Parsons and a post-Parsons defense. He said Gannon has spoken plenty about the safeties. Javon Bullard being talked about as a guy who could play the Budda Baker role that was in Arizona, that Jonathon Gannon had in Arizona. A guy who was all over the field, lining up basically everywhere except for defensive line. Having a bigger slot guy who's able to move, all over is kind of it's a staple of Vic Fangio type defenses. Somebody like Packers fans, since Joe Barry was hired, were like, why don't we get a guy like Vic Fangio? Jonathon Gannon is like a disciple of that. Also moving guys around with the goal of confusing the quarterback. It might not be quite as easy with a guy like Goff, who is much more experienced, but I think Caleb, Kyler, Nine, they can all be confused by switching up the looks on the defense and not letting them get comfortable.
Yeah.
Javon Bullard asked about this defensive three safety, moving guys around. He said it's been amazing. Just the new positions, the different schemes, guys in the back end just moving around in different places. I think it's going to be fun this year. The different disguises that we've got going on, we definitely have the pieces to do it.
I agree.
I really feel when I read Javon Bullard in a Budda Baker role, I'm like, damn, we're about to get a Javon Bullard Pro Bowl season.
Dude, we might.
He's going to be that important to the defense, I feel.
Yep.
So I'm very interested to see. And obviously, with three safeties on the field, I do think that Kaitan Oladipo is gonna be a factor this year. Actually,
I could see that. I see the road work to that.
I think going towards the end of last year, he was kind of coming on as a special teamer a little bit. Kind of him and Tyron Hopper, like last season, were kind of coming on as good special teamers. So I see those guys continuing to exceed in those roles on special teams and cracking some defensive rotations. I'm not expecting them to play like 50% of snaps or anything, but even if it's 25% of snaps, I'm interested to see what those guys look like on the field.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we'll for sure be talking about more of the defensive guys. Also, definitely keep an eye on every Friday. We're putting out winners and losers from training camp, so keep an eye on that as well. And we'll definitely be talking about the preseason games and things we're taking away from that as well. So stay tuned on that as well. But anything else you want to say about Jonathon Gannon, the defense, before we go into the departures and the additions?
Yeah, wanted to talk about. I know we were mentioning the energy he's coming out with. I mean, he's dapping up our franchise quarterback. He's dancing, dude. It's like, oh my goodness, dude. I love the swagger that they're coming out with. Like, feel yourself a little bit. We're a very young and talented team for the last couple of years. Now we're maturing into like, okay, we want to be in these conversations for real. And Gannon is a guy that he took his licks out there in Arizona. And I find it very interesting that Gannon's first game is the DC, where he tries to get some licks back on the league, is against his former quarterback now, who was named as the starter for Minnesota. So that's going to be a very, very interesting dynamic that happens week one. But I don't know if you saw the video of the Vikings offensive line singing happy birthday to Kyler Murray. Awkward.
Could you not see Kyler Murray in the video, or?
He actually wasn't in the video. They were showing the Vikings offensive line because they wanted to sing it shirtless for some reason. That's yeah. That's a choice. That's a choice.
Weird. All right. Well, let's roll into the departures and the additions. And looking at additions and departures on the offensive side of the ball, Jake, who stands out as the departures that you're like, all right, those are the guys that stick out?
All right. So the guys that stick out to me, obviously, Dontavian Wicks. A lot of people apparently like Dontavian Wicks now that he's not on the Packers. I don't know what that's about. Romeo
I just want to say I never liked the pick when it was made. We went into the draft, and I'm like, he's got drops.
Yeah, and he dropped the ball a lot. I mean, he has ability to get open. We all saw that.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter if you don't.
I feel like people saw him compared to Devontae Adams, and they saw him wearing number 17.
Yeah, I think so.
And they never let that go.
No, they didn't. I mean, we'll see what happens. Romeo Doubs, obviously a big-time loss. He's going to do really good out there as a number 2 in New England. Elton Jenkins, he's now in Cleveland. Obviously, he was hurt last year, but that's a big-time loss. He's been a staple of our offensive line. Rasheed Walker, I'm okay. I'll be okay, especially after the comments that Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer guy, like
Joe Thomas,
maybe like the best player to come out of Wisconsin ever. I mean, he's in the discussion. The way that he talked about Jordan Morgan, I think I'm going to be okay losing Rasheed
I've
Walker.
heard nothing but good things about Jordan Morgan. People are saying he looks very solid at left tackle.
Yeah, they're saying he's got the size. They're saying he's got the athleticism. He's got the hands. He's got everything. So
brain.
It's a big year for him.
Yeah.
And obviously Malik Willis, he got the bag over there in Miami, following Halfley and Sullivan down there to Miami. So those are the 5 that I wrote down as departures for the Packers.
One other one that I would throw out there on just the offensive side of the ball is just Emmanuel Wilson, just because it's going to come up in a segment literally today, what the Packers are doing in that position. Defensively, the Packers traded Rashawn Gary. Thanks to Dallas for the 4th-round pick, because Rashawn Gary definitely would have gotten cut if he was not traded.
100%.
Quay Walker was let walk to the Raiders. Him being signed by the Raiders kind of says what the league thinks of him as a player. Absolutely not trying to dog Quay Walkers and being like, well, he sucked so bad that only the Raiders would sign him. But I feel that we went through last season. We saw some flashes of improvements, but just never felt like it was all the way put together, that Quay Walker was consistent enough at doing his job well enough to be re-signed. And that's why the Packers chose Devontae Wyatt over him.
I agree.
Nate Hobbs was cut. That was unfortunately an experiment where it's like, all right, we're going to try to bring in a good slot guy, and he got hurt, and that just never worked out. Yep. Kingsley Enagbare, I think that one is a little bit of an underrated bummer to lose Enagbare just because he did get better at setting edges. That's one thing we talked about him over the years. Getting better at that and just having depth at pass rush. There's really not a limit to how much cheap depth of competent pass rush that you can have.
Yep.
And then lastly, we'll just use this one to tie in from the departures to the additions was the trade of Colby Wooden to the Indianapolis Colts for Zaire Franklin. So Jake, going from departures to additions, let's just start on the defensive end and go from Colby Wooden to Zaire Franklin and look at the defensive additions.
Yeah, that was the 5 that I had as well on defense. And then on offense, I have obviously Zaire Franklin. I think that's going to be a match made in heaven. The way that he talks about playing for the Packers, his experience with the training camp, how he loves it so much, how he's so happy to be a Packer. I think it's going to be a match made in heaven. Javon Hargrave is going to be a very, very big-time upgrade at that defensive tackle number 2 spot. He's going to keep guys fresh, and he has some real juice in the pass rush department, so that's going to be nice. Also, he'll make it a little bit easier for the guys up front to adjust to Jonathon Gannon, playing under him, obviously, in Philadelphia, where he had his best year of his career. And then Benjamin St. Juste is a guy that's going to be competing for a cornerback spot this year. So he said that he came here because he thinks that Green Bay is one of the teams that can win the Super Bowl. And I got to say, Ben, it's a good way to get the fans on your side, buddy.
All right. St. Juste was actually one of my top free agent targets, so I love that he's part of the Packers and really stabilizing a room that was really questionable last year.
Yeah, for real.
And then obviously the Packers drafted Brandon Cisse, Chris McClellan, Danny Dennis Sutton, Damani Jackson.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
On the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously the guys that they drafted, Jaeger Burton, throw Trey Smack in there as an offensive side, even though he's on special teams. The two quote-unquote big free agent additions to the offense were Sky Moore and Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
And bringing in Tyrod Taylor, I think, was a very, very smart move, a very savvy move. Mm-hmm. He's been a guy who's been kind of like a Jacoby Brissett type, where it's like he's not, necessarily the guy that you want to give a full bag to, but he's a guy who, like, knock on wood, if Jordan Love gets his knee twisted in Brazil, that you feel can carry you the way that Malik Willis did. Obviously, it's in a different play style because Tyrod Taylor's not running like he used to, but Tyrod Taylor brings a competence that you don't have from Kyron Drones and Kyle McCord, who are both super duper young.
Yeah, Tyrod's the kind of guy where if if the ship starts to go off course and you have to have a guy come back in, he understands how to stabilize it for a few weeks, 2-3 weeks at most. Yeah. He can win you a couple games against some mid to lower level teams, and you feel pretty good about that. He can run the offense the way that him and LaFleur together would be a good match, just like Malik was,
Yep. And then Sky Moore, interesting things coming about him, like Packers signed Sky Moore, and it's like, oh, okay, there's our return man. And this came in my winners and losers from last Friday, that Sky Moore is not just here to return. Both Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst said he's going to get work in the receiving game.
Dude, he was frying, dude. Like, he was like, he had wiggle, bro. He had, like, legit wiggle. Remember, he was a first-round pick, right, or a second-round pick? He was a high draft pick. I remember him in the draft. I remember we both.
I remember scouting him.
We both ranked him relatively.
He was a second-round pick in 2022.
Second-round pick. That's what it was, to the Chiefs, right?
Chiefs. Yep.
I remember Western Michigan, right? He wore number 24, right? Or 22, 24. I think it was 24. But yeah, Sky Moore, legit return man. And I know that we talked about Gannon bringing his changes to the defense. God, I'm blanking on the name, and I meant to write it down. I wrote it next to his name. That the new special teams coordinator is
Cam Acord.
There it is. He's crazy, just like Gannon is on defense, bringing some unreal energy to that room that obviously needed a jolt of something.
Yeah,
they needed to drink straight black coffee for a month because they would look dead.
I feel like Rich Bisaccia, I feel like he had good head coach energy, but not like mean in your face, like go hit somebody on special teams energy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've heard guys talk about some of the lessons that they learned from Bisaccia, and it's like, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not – I feel like he would be better as a head coach than a coordinator, honestly.
I understand why they had him as the assistant head coach.
That's
all very fair. I understand why they had him as that. Yeah. But obviously as a special teams coordinator, just wasn't working out.
Yeah, it's kind of like plug and play kind of thing where it's like, hey, we can grab a guy who was just being a head coach to be our special teams coordinator. Like,
yep.
Yeah, I wanted it to work because everything that all of his players say about Rich Bisaccia, the person, nothing but good stuff.
Agreed.
So absolutely wish nothing but good things for Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, he's in Clemson now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick before we move on, I just want to throw out the 4 extensions that the Packers did, which was Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Isaiah McDuffie, and Sean Ryan. Those extensions also happened this offseason. And Tucker Crafts is probably coming in the next 3 weeks.
You're on the clock, Tucker.
And I'm not at all worried about Tucker Kraft being extended. I'm thrilled and can't wait for it to happen.
As soon as that happens, I'm getting an 8-5 jersey. That's the jersey I want.
Mine, and it's name customized, so I am Gucci.
I need one of those.
All right. Last thing for today is positional battles to watch. So we have preseason coming up later this week. So, Jake, what are some positional battles that you're going to be looking at in preseason? Not just this week, but in the coming weeks, also in training camp as well.
So I have 3, and I feel like one may be cheating. I'm not sure. You can determine, I guess. But the first one is a pretty obvious one. It's Brandon Cisse versus Carrington Valentine for that cornerback number 2 position. People are going to hate it, but I do think that Nixon is going to be cornerback number 1, at least for the first couple of weeks until Cisse shows that. I mean, you're not going to throw Brandon Cisse out there in his first game and be like, hey, he's that 18 guy in the purple? Yeah. Go guard him. Like, welcome to the NFL. Like, dude, I would never do that.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is one of the top receivers in the NFL. Like, that's pretty clear. Like, no matter who the quarterback is, the guy gets open and he catches everything, dude. Yeah. So I would not throw Cisse on him. But Valentine versus Cisse is very interesting because Valentine, he's so volatile, man. He has so many good games with pass coverage, and he uses his length so well on the sidelines. And then he has a chance to tackle somebody, and he turns into a 5'2" person. It's like, oh my God, you drive me nuts.
I feel like when he's going to tackle somebody and like he's done some good stuff in play recognition.
Yeah.
He goes to tackle somebody and he forgets that he has arms.
Dude, that's why I said he turns into a 5'2" person. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you have arms.
Oh my God. Yeah, so if Valentine actually learns how to tackle, he'd be a valuable corner. He'd be a starting caliber corner, in my opinion. But Cisse could take his job, and Cisse, there's been a lot of talk. I've seen a lot of texts about him. Even immediately after practice, he gets on the iPad and he starts studying film. It's like, dude, you just got done. But that's what the great ones do. They want to learn from their mistakes immediately, and then they work on it, and then boom, that's how you turn into an all-pro. So he's wearing number 2, so I'm hoping he turns into another corner that wears number 2 in the league. That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
You want me just to keep ripping?
I just want to jump in on this one because I did have cornerback as my number 1 positional battle to watch as well. Yeah. And I do ultimately think, unfortunately for Carrington Valentine, he has spent a lot of the first couple weeks of practice banged up, and that has opened nothing but opportunity for Brandon Cisse. So I do think it's going to be Nixon and Cisse to start at corner in week 1.
Really? Okay. I mean, I can see it. I can definitely see it. So my next one is actually a 3-headed monster. And I only recently added the third guy because I was just seeing him pop up on my screen and every notification. It's Sky Moore versus Savion Williams versus Bo Melton.
Oh, okay.
I'm hearing all this stuff about Sky Moore going deep, winning one-on-ones with these corners. I'm hearing about how Savion is showing his versatility out of the backfield, which obviously me and you have predicted. And he has some deep ball capabilities as well.
Yes,
Very good body control for a guy. Savion Williams, with the way that he can play, really great body control. And then Bo Melton, dude. I don't know what it is, but him and Jordan Love just like they have the telepathic thing going on where they just understand each other. And Bo Melton's going to catch a 50-yard touchdown for no goddamn reason at some point during this season.
Maybe twice.
He's just going to catch a 50-yard bomb, and we're all going to scream at our TVs on a Sunday, and it's going to be awesome. But Bo Melton is going to etch out some snaps here, and same thing with Sky Moore. So the wide receiver room may have lost some depth, but these three guys have an opportunity to recreate that depth.
Yeah, honestly, I had wide receiver on my list as well, but I'm looking at one spot deeper. So I'm looking at wide receiver 5 and 6. Oh. And I'm looking at Bo Melton, and I'm looking at the newly signed Caden Prather, Will Shepard, who's been a guy who's been on the practice squad since last season, and then Isaiah Nayor, who was on the practice squad last season. I've been reading lots of good things about him. And then undrafted free agent J. Michael Sturdivant. I've been hearing and reading lots of good things. So essentially, you're going to have to pick two of those guys, and one of them's probably going to be Bo Melton, which is going to leave Sturdivant, Nayor, Shepard, Prather, and the Packers just claimed Chris Hilton. So, like, the Packers are taking the back end of their wide receiver room very seriously.
They sure are. I mean, it's come into play over the last couple of years, so it makes a lot of sense. Sturdivant, great name, by the way. Great, I'm cheering for that guy just because he has a great name. My last one I have is Chris Brooks, who just recently came back, versus Marshawn Lloyd, who is trying to prove to the fans, and he said it himself, trying to prove why he was taken in the third round a couple of years ago. And you hear all this great stuff about Marshawn Lloyd, and he scored a touchdown. This was last week, I believe it was. And then he does a backflip in the end zone, and everybody's like, whoa. We know you could do that. Let's make it to week 1, buddy. Let's make it to September 13th, all right? But Chris Brooks, obviously a guy that has etched out a really good role on this roster. He is really good at one thing specifically, pass pro. And he's also good at running inside. He runs tough. But Marshawn Lloyd has that extra gear where he could take a run that would be Chris Brooks, that would be a 6-yard run. He could turn that into 60. He has that Aaron Jones in him a little bit, where Aaron Jones always kind of felt like he was one broken arm tackle away from housing it, you know? And I get that same feeling with Lloyd. And, man, I was at my wit's end with this guy when he got hurt last year. I was like, dude, we wasted okay, I apologize. I shouldn't say wasted, but we spent a huge draft pick on this guy. Like, a third-round pick is nothing to scoff at. I want people to realize that. Like, that's a high-value pick, and you're spending it on a running back, which is a very expendable position in the NFL, especially for the lifespan of these guys. So Chris Brooks versus Marshawn Lloyd is going to be very important, especially, I don't want to bring this up, but I have to, with the legal issues that might be looming over the top of our RB1. It's very important to find out who's the guy behind him, who's going to be maybe taking those snaps in week 1.
Yeah. I'm not even going to comment on it. I don't think it's going to end up being anything. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not even going to get into it. Mm-hmm. The other couple that I have on the offensive side of the ball, I'm just curious to see how both guard positions shake out. Aaron Banks' job, can somebody take it? Maybe. I ultimately don't really think so, because I think there's more uncertainty at right guard than there is at left guard. And I really feel that Anthony Belton is a tackle. He played tackle. He was drafted as a tackle. And they're kind of trying to say, hey, Jordan Morgan, you were drafted as a tackle. We're going to play you at guard a little bit until your left tackle spot is ready. And that's what it feels like they're trying to do with Anthony Belton, when I think they should just take Anthony Belton and say, hey, you're Yosh Nijman. If either one of our tackles are hurt, you are playing that tackle position.
I agree with that.
I feel that that's more valuable than saying, hey, let's start our third best tackle at right guard.
There's a guy that was good last year who's an older player. He's on a roster right now that's not very good, that the Packers could go get for very cheap, and he plays right guard, and I think he would be good at it. His name is Kevin Zeitler. I've been talking about him for the last couple of years. You just need a guy to plug in there for a year. Kevin Zeitler would be a great option. I believe he's on the Titans this year, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check. But that would be my fix to the right guard position, because
honestly, the couple things that I've been reading about are guys that are playing well in the right guard spot, and it's Jagger Burton and Jacob Monk.
Yeah, well, he is on Tennessee.
Those guys were drafted to play interior offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those guys, having been interior offensive linemen, would be a better player to plug in to play that position. And, you know, I actually really like Darian Kennard as the sixth offensive lineman. And when they use actually six offensive linemen on the field, I like that. If you can turn Anthony Belton into that and have him be the, you know, Zach Tom's coming back from an injury, why isn't Anthony Belton practicing at right tackle more, honestly?
Yeah.
And just say, hey, like Jacob Monk, Jagger Burton, we want to see you guys at right guard, and Anthony Belton, we want to see you at right tackle, just as kind of an insurance thing. And then maybe you then take Darian Kennard and say, hey, we're going to flip you for a 6th-round pick. Thank you for your 2 years of service, and we got you for free.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down my random thought is that the Packers' O-line depth is bad. The O-line depth is very thin, a lot of inexperience, and a lot of guys that just haven't seen it, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I just don't want to add putting a guy out of position to that.
No, I agree with you 100%.
The reports coming about Anthony Belton are not good at right guard right now, and it's because he's a tackle.
Yeah, agreed.
Last one I have. Go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, we talked about it before. We talked about it during the draft. Like, sometimes you have to draft people to just play a position and just let them play that position. We've talked about this, you know, almost at a nauseating rate. So, I mean, I think that's becoming true with Belton.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're only a year removed from that. So, like, they have time to just be like, all right, we tried it. It doesn't really work. We're just going to move on, and we're going to keep him as our swing tackle.
Yeah.
The last one that I have on offense is, honestly, it's tight end 2. We know Tucker Kraft's tight end 1. He might be top 5 tight end in the league at the end of the season. Probably should be, my opinion. Luke Musgrave, the ceiling is there. Like, you can see the ceiling, and you're like, wow, that ceiling looks really nice. And then there's, like, yellow caution tape that prevents you from walking into the building where the ceiling is.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to be looking at Luke Musgrave. And then you go next door to Josh Wiley's house, and you're like, wow, this doesn't have as high of a ceiling, but this is a nice house. Furniture's all in order. Kitchen is clean.
Yeah.
Like, Josh, this is a solid house you got here, Josh Wiley.
Good foundation.
Great. Dude, nice. Way to tie that together.
You're welcome.
To see that Josh Wiley, he can block for you. He can pass block for you, run block for you. He can catch a couple passes, and you don't have to question whether he's going to be available. So I'm curious to see how the rest of training camp goes, because Luke Musgrave is still not practicing. If the Packers maybe do something like say, hey, Zach Ertz, we saw you're healthy. You want to come play for us? Or if Josh Wiley has an opportunity to earn himself a job.
I wouldn't mind Zach Ertz as tight end too. Honestly, that'd be a really nice addition to this Packers offense. Maybe Tucker can still learn a thing or two about zone coverages and stuff from him. You know what I mean?
Yep. I was just gonna say, I feel like Tucker Kraft would love that.
Oh yeah, Tucker Kraft is a madman though, so I don't think he cares what coverage. He's just gonna run through your face.
It's gonna burn down your childhood house.
Oh, dude, I just love him that he's a psycho, dude. Hell yeah, dude.
And then the last one that I have is edge rusher 2. So edge rusher 1, while Micah Parsons is hurt, is going to be Lucas Van Ness. I'm looking at Barron Sorrell, Brenton Cox, Colin Oliver, and Danny Dennis Sutton, who starts opposite Lucas Van Ness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all four of these guys have their merits. I think Cox has honestly played the most out of the four. Baron Sorrell, I've heard literally nothing but good things about him. And we saw the super lightning bright flash of Colin Oliver in week 18 last year against the Vikings, where it's like, oh shit, that guy's fast.
And Baron Sorrell might be fast.
Baron Sorrell is fast too.
He's over 20 miles per hour on a pick 6 in camp, dude. That's crazy.
And then Danny Dennis Sutton, the guy that has been regarded as one of the steals of the draft. So I'm very interested to see not only who starts, but also what that rotation looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to throw out there as far as, getting ready for preseason goes and everything?
No, man. I mean, it's gonna be a good time, man. Rodgers is starting for the Steelers. I've heard that LaFleur said that Love is going to be starting unless he changes his mind. So I can see him going out there for a series, maybe just because Rodgers is going to be out there. Get kind of the Packers Steelers, two of the great franchises. You get the Rodgers Love thing, McCarthy, all that whole stuff. I mean, it'll be a little
bit of rust off.
It'll be good vibes, man. I'm very excited. Nothing beats that first feeling, man. When you see those gold helmets go out on the field, man. It's just like, oh my god.
Family night gives us a little bit of that too, and I think that's why so many people show up for it.
I love family night, but man, to see it against another team is just different. You know,
it feels like a real game.
That's when it feels like, all right, okay, we're real close. And honestly, from Thursday, that'll be exactly a month away from the start of the season. So you can start your countdown on Thursday because they start on September 13th. Also, what is Thursday? Is that your birthday, my boy?
Maybe.
The Packers start on your birthday, dog. Dude, I'm telling you, the stars are lining up, bro. The stars are lining up. I can see it already. I can see us holding the trophy already. I feel it.
All righty. So if you are interested, we have our schedule posted for what the rest of our season lead up looks like. Next week, we're going to be discussing our roster predictions and the depth charts. Also going to have a development pipeline. So we're going to look at rookie contributors, guys who can make year 2 leaps, guys who can make year 3 leaps. And then we're also going to be discussing some most likely players. So most likely to be overrated, underrated, most likely to break out, most likely to be, some of the most improved on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So that's next week. 2 weeks from now, the 25th, we're going to have X Factors, our bold predictions and our record predictions. September 1st, we're going to have stat projections and some buy or sell questions. And then September 8th, we're going to do a Brian Gutekunst scorecard, the 10 most important non-quarterback Packers, and our week 1 preview. It's that close.
It's coming. Come on, baby.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, stay up to date with the page. We don't cover just Packers. We are Wisco fanatics, so we cover the Bucks, the Brewers, the Badgers football and basketball teams as well. We're actively focused on how we're putting our content out, and we're working pretty hard, and we're excited about it. So we're excited about the way that we're covering the teams this year, and we're looking forward to it, as you can tell, with seasons coming up. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.